it's your girl Maddie from Top Rope Squishy bringing you Dynamite Recap. Yeah! So we are recapping the Jericho special show for his 30 years in wrestling. And what a freaking packed show it was. Before we get started though, can you please subscribe and like below and drop me a comment and hit the little bell so that you can get notifications every time I put up an episode. And if you don't already, please follow me on Twitter at Top Rope Squishy. So let's get started. How did they open up? The best way that you can, with Hobbs versus Cage for the FTW belt. Holy Sheeta! Listen, this match was intense. Have you ever seen two humongous men like that tossing each other around like they're weightless? They were doing back suplexes. They were doing chest chops. I saw Hobbs and Cage flying all over the ring in ways that men that weigh over 250 pounds should not be able to do. They're beasts. It was such an entertaining match. I don't believe it was one-sided at all. Hobbs definitely gave Cage a run for his money, but in the end, Cage was able to retain, but there were no losers in this match. It was my favorite match of the night. I've seen it twice already. And then we had FTR versus TH2 for the tag belts. Whew, that was an interesting match. So TH2 was actually giving FTR a run for their money, so much so that they ran out of the ring, they grabbed their belts, and they were gonna leave. But Angelico jumped out of the ring to stop them, and then Jack Evans followed and knocked them all down. But at some point, after Angelico, of course, pulled amazing submission moves all over FTR, even at one point he had both Cash and Dax in a submission hold together. At some point, they were able to get Angelico out of the ring, and Jack Evans took the brunt of the beatings. They destroyed his knee. They got him by himself. Angelico was nowhere to be found, and they ended up doing a back suplex off the top rope and then a freaking frog splash off the other side of the top rope, and they pinned them and they won and retained their belts. So good job, TH2, but unfortunately FTR remain the champs. Then we had Cody versus Brodie Lee for the TNT belt. This was probably the shocker of the night. This fight, obviously, people were expecting it to be brutal. It was a dog and collar match. I had never seen one before. I know it's not the first one to be done in wrestling history, but it is the first for AEW, and it's the first for me. And it was brutal and entertaining and bloody. Brodie hit Cody in the head with the chains, and Cody opened up and was bleeding everywhere, and then Cody pulled a power driver on Brodie on top of a table, and then Brodie was bleeding everywhere. And at one point, Cody wrapped the chains around Brodie's face and did two crossroads on him and pinned him. Cody got the belt back. Holy moly! I do not see that coming. I think most people did not see that coming. That was the shock of the night. It was an amazing match. I think that both men did incredibly well, but even John Silver got kicked in the face. Poor John Silver. But in the end, Cody became the TNT champion again. So that was a shocker, but overall, great match. I'm really interested to see where Brodie is going to go now that he's lost the belt. And he can no longer flash that in front of his, followers. So interested to see what is going to happen going forward. Then we had the female match. Woo! It was Swole versus Deeb, Serena Deeb. You know what? It was a good freaking match. It was extremely technical. There was a lot of powerful striking moves, a lot of clotheslines, a lot of elbow drops. Serena Deeb gave Swole a run for her money because Serena Deeb is a submission expert. She was submitting, trying to submit Swole all over the ring. She pinned her a couple of times, but didn't get the win. Swole ended up kicking her in the face, headbutting her, and hitting her with a rolling elbow, which eventually got Swole the win. But in the end, I think that I can say Serena Deeb was dominating that match, but Swole got the air under her again, and she was able to win this match. I think Serena Deeb is going to be wonderful in the AEW women's roster. She's going to do great things, and I cannot wait to see more of her matches. Imagine Serena Deeb versus Britt Baker. Hey, Tony Khan, make sure you put that on. And then the main event of the night. We had Jericho and Hager versus Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico. You know, they did great, but it wasn't my favorite match, I have to say, which is kind of sad because it was Jericho's 30 years in wrestling. But unfortunately, what got me with that match was that Luther seemed a little bit off because I think he was doing moves that he's not used to doing. I don't really see him going off the top rope like that when he's in his regular matches. And he looked very shaky every time he got on the top. So by the second time he did it, I was kind of like praying that he wouldn't fall and get injured. So I was kind of happy when Jericho gave him the Judas effect, Judas elbow, and ended the match. He pinned Luther, and it was obviously Jericho and Hager for the win. Jericho and Hager were not going to lose on Jericho's special night. But yeah, that's how I felt about that match. But if you feel differently, please drop a comment and let me know why. And that is my recap for this week's Dynamite for Jericho's special 30 years. Please, if you like what you saw, subscribe and like below. Drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And if you don't already, please follow me on Twitter at Top Rope Squishy. That is my show. I am out.